We are a group of students that have gone through engineering undergrad, and we know it can be tough, stressful, and confusing, especially without any guidance. Luckily, we had the opportunity to interview some amazing professors and also reflect on our own experiences. The result is 15 minutes of valuable perspectives that we wish we had when we were starting out engineering. It'll be our honor to present it to you. Undergrad, my time management wasn't the best, so I'm speaking from hindsight right now. These are the strategies I'm adopting now, that I've noticed that they do help a lot. So the first main thing is have a centralized system for all your tasks. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I just use Google Calendar, and any kind of task I need to keep track of, it goes right onto that calendar. You can experiment with different softwares if you want, but whatever you choose, pick it and stick with it. So pick and stick. I think that's the main motto I have for engineers. A lot of times you'll fall into analysis paralysis. At the end of the day, pick something, stick with it, and that'll be the best way to manage your time. A big portion of mistakes you make with time management is just not remembering what you have to do. We've all been there. It's the day before the assignment's due and you're like, oh shoot, I have an assignment to do. That can be solved by just having one place to track all your tasks and keep up to date with it. So yeah, that would be my main advice for time management.
I'm not going to lie, I really struggled with it. Back in my undergrad, I could not differentiate academics versus social life. So I was very much focused academically. However, towards the end, I realized that this is the time that's never going to come back. You're only going to be in your late teens and early 20s once. And that's the only time you have your energy and like you're not very responsible enough. So it's very important to just like figure out a schedule that works the best for you. Maybe a couple of hours a day you should like dedicate it just to yourself and your friends and family. I mean, money is gonna always come and go, but the time and your friends are not gonna come back because everybody's gonna get busy once you start working. So you're not gonna have the same group of people, the same energy. You're not gonna be able to vibe with a lot of people once you start working. So I think like taking a couple of hours of your day out, or at least a week, just like leave out a day once a week or something just to hang out with your friends and family and just give them the time because the time's not going to come back, but your money will come back.
I think the course load in engineering can be pretty tough, especially in your first year. I think something that has helped me is, treating being a student as a full-time job and getting yourself to that 40-hour mark every week. And once you get to that 40-hour mark every week, you need to, figure out, okay, work off of deadlines. Well, what is coming up first? What is the highest priority? Spend your most time on that. And then once you get to do that for a couple of weeks, you actually get to, get in the rhythm and the routine of doing it, and it gets easier as you go on. The idea of treating being a student as a full-time job came to me when I was speaking to one of the professors here at the university, and they really told me that, you know what, when you do fill out a form, what do you write for occupation? You put student. Therefore, you should treat it as a job, and you should, spend that time to get to the 40-hour mark, and then that way, you know that you're spending the most effort that you can in being a student, and you get the most reward out of it.
I had a mentor. He was my brother. He's 12 years older than me, and he's a civil engineer. It helped me so much to have a mentor like him. Very kind, very supportive. The advice was be proactive in construction industry. You have to be in this industry while you are studying. If you study only your courses and your programs, that's not enough for being an engineer student. You have to be in industry because everything is going on in industry.
Very important is having good people around you, like people, your friends who are going through the same stages as you, like who are taking the same courses as you, who are doing the same exams as you, doing the same labs as you, because you do have a strong group of people to get you through it. Because like if you're ever stuck in a problem, you cannot always depend on the professor. You cannot always depend on the TAs, right? You kind of have to have access to your group of friends where you can like call up in the middle of the night asking for advice, because I've done that a lot. Like I still remember my friends and I used to call each other up 3 a.m. before the night of the exam. Like, do you know how to do this? Like, how I cannot figure out the steam chart or like the graphs. I'm stuck in this Fourier transformation. Yeah, so I think a good group of people around you is very, very, very important.
And also, I think being in study groups also helps. Being surrounded by people who are in the same boat as you really motivates you to figure out what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing it.
So I love popular sayings, and one that I really like is sometimes I win and sometimes I learn, right? Even those, I think an exam is one of the best opportunities to learn because you're challenge your knowledge against some external parameters and if you don't, sometimes I've gone to exams and say, okay, now I have to just figure these things out. Even if the exam is already gone and done, right? I need to understand what they were asking and take it like a learning opportunity. And if I didn't know, well, that's telling me something. Let me just go on and dive into that specific, so I have a better understanding because yes, I've seen that a lot.
I definitely dealt with a failure in my undergrad career, and that was because I actually failed a course. And you're probably not going to believe it, but I failed aerodynamics as an aeronautical student. That was a bit of a setback for me because you don't assume that an aeronautical student would fail aerodynamics, but I did learn a lot from it. First of all, I learned that failing can actually be a good thing because I learned more about aerodynamics through studying and restudying and really being invested in that course than I ever would have if I just tried coasting through it in the first place. So while it's not nice to fail, it doesn't feel good. Don't think of it as 100% of a bad thing. Think of it as an opportunity for you to come back even stronger. The second thing is that it taught me how to manage my courses a lot better in the future. So because I dealt with a failure a bit earlier on, I'd say, it made the next year of my studies a lot easier to deal with. So sometimes you just need a shock. As scary as that sounds, sometimes you just need a shock to get you to wake up a bit and then take things seriously. So yeah, failure, that's how you deal with it, is first you recognize it as just a way to improve. And second, think of it as like a wake-up call. So that's how I dealt with it.
It's funny you would mention that. I actually had this exact experience yesterday with a student who came in, and they have no issue with the curiosity or wanting to design and seeing things conceptually, struggling a bit on some of the academics. My advice would be to, again, don't be afraid of a little suffering and a little hard work. Those are good things that teach you a lot. But at the same time, don't stress if there's a particular area or academic topic that you don't get yet. I use the example all the time. I didn't understand differential equations till grad school, and I think I did okay. I have some colleagues here. I said I was in the solid mechanics from, and some of my colleagues who, if I gave them the same problems second year students were giving second year students, some of them couldn't solve them on their desk today. But that doesn't mean they don't know how, they couldn't find the resources to. It's just that's not their expertise. So I think my advice would be to stick it out and find that niche, that thing that you are interested in. There's so many different areas, and you don't have to be academically perfect at every area in engineering. But there's probably a niche for you somewhere in our program.
Yeah, my name is Pranav Khanna. I'm a fourth year chemical engineering student. When I took a look at chemical engineering courses, I saw thermo, I saw mass transfer, heat transfer, and I thought that these courses seem interesting to me. This is something I want to do. I was completely unaware of what actual chemical engineers do. I didn't know what actual courses were going to be looking like. This was an uninformed decision, if I can say that. But I went with my instinct, and today I feel like I don't regret it, but maybe I feel like if I had a chance, I would think about it more. I would talk to some actual chemical engineers and put a lot more thought into my decision of choosing my degree, my discipline.
So the first advice I'd give to students that are in a similar position is don't be afraid to switch your degree program early on. Really take that first year to explore all the disciplines and take it very seriously, because once you're in your second, your third, your fourth year, it becomes a lot more expensive to switch. So there's nothing wrong with switching, but make sure you make that decision early on and spend your first year really exploring and getting a grasp on all the different types of disciplines so you can make that decision more effectively.
I think in their first year students should be looking to explore all the disciplines in some way or another. A great way to do that is the Engineering Student Society, the ESS, puts up a bunch of different events and conferences throughout the year. So I think attending those is a great way to get exposed and ask people about their experience in their discipline and what they're interested in to figure it out for yourself.
What specifically could a student do to practice engineering while they're in school?
Well, the focus is training, is learning about the material and learning about the subjects. If you want to get some flavor of the practice of engineering, the student groups, the student project groups are a really good way to get an introduction into that. Because the groups are doing something practical. They're building something with a defined purpose and a defined mission in mind. And yeah, you get that in coursework as well, but coursework is all paper exercises. And what the student projects allow is for you to go beyond just the paper exercise and validate your ideas and validate your plans and designs by actually building them and seeing if they work. And it's that experience closing the loop in the process of idea to design to reality, taking you back to, well, did the reality actually achieve what you set out to achieve? That experience, you don't get a lot of that in the formal program, but the student project groups absolutely give you exposure to that.
And once I got here, I got involved with a student project group called EcoCar, where I started off as a mechanical team member, and then I worked my way up to project manager, which is what I am currently for the second year in a row. And I think my advice to any high school incoming engineering student is to always get involved in project groups as soon as you can. I know it may seem hectic, but you'll learn to time manage a lot better. You'll get to meet people from different disciplines, and it'll just open your eyes up to what you can do with your degree.
There's another saying that I really like. Obstacles or walls are not to keep you outside. It's just to see how hard you want to go to the other side, right? And that's something that we need to be honest with ourselves. One problem that I've seen is, I go to engineering because engineering is too good money. Okay, if that's the only criteria for going there and you don't like solving problems, you don't like trying to just design solutions, you probably won't be happy in engineering, right? But they make good money, I have to go because they make money. No, I think that's not the right reason to why do you go to engineering, right? You need to be passionate about the understanding of how the world around us functions and how we can use those physical laws and those, things that govern us and the interaction that we have with the physical world to solve problems. How can we tap into that? How can we actually make use of gravitational forces, of inertia forces, of electricity, of, all of these things to solve problems? I think that is the key, right? And having that curiosity, and again, be honest with yourself. If you're really into that, well, if your decision is based only on money, I've met people that are so poor that the only thing they have is money, really. I'm just gonna put it out there, right? Like, the only thing they have is money, and they are poor, in my perspective. I love popular saying. I love popular saying.
And they're all saying that I haven't heard before. Because everyone's heard the ones that are like more common, but these are fresh.
Yeah.